All right, this is going to be a really quick video about how the lessons are structured. So we always start with a question, and that question is going to guide the student's entire experience for this session. Most of our lessons take about an hour to do outside. Some will take a little less, some may take a little longer. It depends on the students, but an hour is a really good time to shoot for. So we have our question. This is what we're going to be going outside to learn. So what characteristics make insects different from all other animals? This section right here is basically describing the lesson. And then we have our 4 boxes. And these boxes have our big ideas, activity modifications, and then basically our learning objectives. We have 1 box for our pre-K students, 1 for our elementary, middle school, and high school. And the difference between these really is basically advanced knowledge. With each box, we need to know a little bit more. We need to know a little bit more science. And then also advanced critical thinking skills. So moving up to each level, we're expecting more critical thinking from the students. All right, so the next page is going to be your activity instructions. And we always start with a video, and this is just a really good way to introduce the topic and to give the students a different modality for learning before they go outside, right? They're exposed to it in a fun, engaging way with a fun video. And then you go outside and you may do a little, 5-minute talk about the topic, and then you do an activity. So here we have 2 different activities. Most lessons are just going to have 1, but you'll have your supplies listed as well as your step-by-step instructions. So it's really easy to follow and really easy to prep for. And these videos are usually around 5 minutes, so they're short. All right, we have the solving nature mystery here. And this goes back to the question that we asked on the first page. This is a question that everything revolves around, the activity revolves around. And what I've done here is I've just summed up everything to its most concise details, so that way you know exactly what the students should be learning. Some of the lessons are going to have diagrams like this. Some may not. It just depends on what you're learning. But here we have basically pictures of native organisms in my area, and then we've labeled the different anatomies. So for this lesson, students are going to be drawing an insect and labeling their anatomy. So this kind of gives you a good guide of what that would look like. All right, the last page of the lesson is always going to be the science. And the science section is detailed. And it's actually detailed to the point to where you could teach a lesson at the high school level with this 1 page of information. That's really important. For the elementary school students, you don't want the elementary school students to know all of this. That's going to be far too overwhelming. You may pick just a few things from this, but the idea is that you as a teacher know enough that if your students ask a question, you can give them, some kind of educated answer, or at least you can point them in the right direction because you know enough material. And again, like I said, these lessons are usually 3 to 4 pages long, so we keep them concise and to the point and easy to implement. So the last pages in the lesson are going to be our nature journaling sheets. They're split up in ages for elementary, middle, and high school. And I'm going to talk to you real quick about how they're structured. So first up here, we have our nature journaling log, and this is where your students are going to be taking their weather data. And I highly suggest doing this every time you go outside to learn with your students because it teaches them what it's like to be a scientist. So in the news, we see new scientific discoveries every day, and they're always really exciting. So we see science as being very, very exciting, when in reality, it can be very monotonous. They're taking the same data over time, and it could have taken 10 years for that one discovery. All right, the next thing that we have is back to our nature mystery or our question. And what they'll do here is they'll just basically write the answer to the question. In this box, I believe it says making connections now, but it's this idea that they write something new that they've learned and they write something old that they already knew. This box right here is their observation box. So while they're doing their activity or right after their activity, they will draw and write about what they observed, and they'll reflect on their experience. And this last box down here is they're asking a new question, because that's an important part of the scientific process, right? Is ask a question, make observations, see if you can answer that question, and then you develop a new question. So that's basically how these lessons are designed. And again, like I said, they're designed to be pretty efficient and quick and easy for you to do, while also being a powerful learning experience for the students.